There is a beautiful truth about the human mind. It is not fixed, it is not final, it is not fragile, it is fluid. It grows with curiosity, it expands with challenge, it sharpens with pain, and it shines with purpose. Every single one of us has been gifted with a brain capable of wonder, of reinvention, of innovation. But somewhere between the chaos of the world and the noise in our own heads, we begin to doubt the power we hold within us. Our minds, once full of questions and dreams, slowly become mechanical, routine-driven, fearful, and we begin to believe that intelligence is a gift of the few. But I stand here today to remind you, brain power is not inherited. It's cultivated. It's not found in books alone, it's found in resilience, in experience, in perspective. The brain is like a muscle. It strengthens when challenged, it weakens when ignored, and no matter your age, your past, or your failures, you can begin today to unlock more of it. Not for competition, not for validation, but to become the best version of you. Let's dive into powerful keys that will help you awaken your mind, elevate your thinking, and expand your life. Feed your curiosity, not your fear. There is a divine beauty in being curious. It is the whisper of the soul, asking the mind to wake up. Curiosity is not a weakness, it is the root of all greatness. But when curiosity is replaced by fear, a once vibrant mind begins to fade into silence. The tragedy is not in being uninformed, it is in being too afraid to ask. Every time we silence ourselves because we feel foolish, we rob ourselves of a piece of our growth. The mind longs to explore, to question, to wander into unknown territories. And yet, we lock it behind the bars of what will people think, as though curiosity were a crime. You were never born to simply accept. You were born to challenge, to seek, to probe, to dissect what the world calls truth until it becomes personal. Curiosity is not rebellion, it is revelation. When you start asking why, you begin finding how. There is nothing more liberating than feeding the brain with wonder. A single question can lead to 1,000 answers, and 1,000 answers can birth a brand new world. The most revolutionary ideas never came from certainty, they came from confusion that dared to stay curious. Children are not smarter than adults, they're braver. Braver to look dumb, braver to make mistakes. Braver to keep asking even when they are ignored. Somewhere along the way, we learned that being curious makes us look naive, but staying ignorant makes us look strong. What a lie. If only we knew how powerful we become when we allow ourselves to not know everything. If only we embraced curiosity, not as a flaw, but as a gift. When you read about something you don't understand, you're not just feeding knowledge, you're teaching your brain to stretch beyond comfort. Let your curiosity guide you to people you never thought you'd speak to. Let it push you to learn cultures you never knew existed. Let it take you into books, into languages, into stories that have nothing to do with your life and everything to do with your growth. Even if it doesn't make sense, even if you don't see where it's going, keep learning. Your mind isn't asking for perfection, it's begging for depth, it's craving layers, not just labels. You don't have to be brilliant to be curious. But if you stay curious long enough, brilliance will find you. Intelligence is not the ability to recite facts, it's the courage to stay uncomfortable in your own questions until you discover something new. Spend time with people who think differently from you, not to debate them, but to expand you. Sit in spaces where you are not the smartest person in the room. Sit in silence with questions you cannot yet answer. Let that silence speak to your spirit. Instead of always chasing answers, begin falling in love with the questions. The kind of questions that shake your assumptions, that strip away your pride, that humble you into wonder. That's when the brain wakes up. That's when wisdom begins. Even pain becomes a tool when viewed with curiosity. What is this teaching me? Why am I feeling this way? What truth is hiding in this discomfort? These are not weak questions, they are the doorway to strength. If you want to increase your brain power, don't fill it with fear. Fill it with fire. The fire of not knowing, the fire of finding out, the fire of wanting more. Don't be afraid to start small. The tiniest spark of curiosity can light up an entire life. And remember, The world may celebrate the answers, but it is the questions that carry the soul forward. Train your focus like a warrior. In a world where attention is the most expensive currency, mastering focus is not just a skill, it is a form of power. Focus is the quiet discipline that builds empires in the shadows. While everyone is busy performing for the crowd, the focused ones are preparing for their moment in silence. The brain can only become sharper when it's allowed to be still. But stillness doesn't come easily in a world that profits off our distractions. Every beep, every notification, every scroll is a thief stealing time, stealing thoughts, stealing presence. When you learn to protect your focus, you begin to reclaim your mind. And reclaiming your mind is the first step to reclaiming your life. Focus isn't about being better than others, it's about being better than the version of yourself that keeps settling for noise. Start by choosing one thing, just one, and giving it your entire attention. It could be reading a page, journaling a thought, completing a task. The world may call it simple, but the brain recognizes it as sacred. It's not what you do, it's how deeply you do it. You see, multitasking makes you feel productive, but it leaves your mind scattered. Focus, on the other hand, feels slow, but it builds mental muscles that multitasking can never touch. It sharpens your decision making. It deepens your awareness. It silences the chaos. Don't wait for the perfect environment to focus. You could be in a noisy room and still train your attention to stay centered. Focus isn't external, it's internal. It begins with deciding that your mind deserves your protection. It's not about how much you do, it's about how present you are while doing it. A focus moment is worth 1,000 distracted hours. And in that focused moment, your brain becomes alive, connected, alert. Build small rituals that anchor your focus. Maybe it's a quiet morning before the world wakes up. Maybe it's turning off the noise during your creative hour. Maybe it's closing your eyes and breathing before every important decision. These moments are not small. They are sacred. You must teach your mind that it doesn't need to respond to every impulse. That not every distraction is urgent, that urgency is a trap, and attention is your weapon. With focus comes clarity, and with clarity comes creativity. A focused mind sees patterns others miss. It sees meaning where others see madness. It turns confusion into insight. Even the stormiest minds can learn to focus, not by force, but by love. Love for growth, love for peace, love for the person you are becoming. The mind listens best when it feels safe. Let your focus become a form of meditation, a space where nothing else exists except the present task. Let it slow down your breath. Let it still your spirit. Let it remind you that productivity without presence is emptiness. Focus is not natural at first. It is trained, it is earned, it is fought for. But once you taste the power of undistracted thought, you will never again settle for scattered living. When your mind learns to stay, to dwell, to immersate, awakens, it becomes less reactive and more reflective, less chaotic and more creative. And in that awakening, a new level of brain power is born. Challenge your brain daily with something uncomfortable. There's a quiet war happening inside every person, the war between comfort and growth. The mind longs for ease, but the soul whispers for evolution. And the only way to awaken your brain's hidden strength is to stop feeding it the familiar and start introducing it to discomfort. Discomfort is not the enemy of intelligence, it is its greatest ally. The moment you step into something new, something unfamiliar, something that makes your heart race and your palms sweat, your brain begins to light up. It becomes alert, alive, and awakened. Most people assume that intelligence is inherited, that some are born gifted and others are not. But intelligence is often just a side effect of those who choose to engage with what terrifies them. Because what terrifies you often teaches you, and what teaches you often transforms you. Challenge your mind with something small yet difficult every day. Read something you don't understand. Solve a puzzle that frustrates you. Try to learn something your ego tells you you're too old for. It's not about mastering the task, it's about stretching the mind that attempts it. Even failure becomes sacred when it happens in the pursuit of something new. The brain doesn't fear failing, it fears stagnation. It fears repetition. It fears being caged in the comfort of the known. But the moment you throw it into the fire of challenge, it begins to rewire itself. Growth is painful, not because it breaks you, but because it forces you to meet versions of yourself you've never met. When you step into discomfort, you begin to meet the resilient you, the patient you, the persevering you, the evolving you. Do not underestimate the power of doing one uncomfortable thing a day. It doesn't have to be dramatic. It could be saying no when you're afraid of confrontation. It could be starting a conversation when your anxiety tells you to stay silent. It could be speaking on stage, starting a project, or learning a new skill. Each time you do what is uncomfortable, you signal to your brain that fear is not fatal. You prove to yourself that mistakes are not the end, they are the beginning. The brain, once convinced that it can survive discomfort, becomes fearless. And in that fearlessness lies genius. Because most people don't fail due to lack of intelligence, they fail due to lack of courage. The courage to be seen starting small. The courage to be called a beginner. The courage to be humbled by the unknown. Let yourself be stretched. Let yourself be awkward. Let yourself be clumsy. These are not signs of weakness. They are signs that your brain is being pushed beyond its limits. And it is only beyond your limits that transformation begins. Some of the brightest minds in history were not the most polished. They were the most persistent. They stayed with problems longer. They tolerated confusion longer. They remained curious even when the answers didn't come. If you ever feel like quitting because something feels too hard, remind yourself, this is the exact moment your brain is being rewired. Difficulty is not a dead end, it is the birthplace of new pathways. Embrace the tension. Trust the process. Stop waiting to be ready. You'll never feel ready for the things that truly grow you. Start anyway. The discomfort you fear is often the bridge to the power you've never accessed. Do not fear challenges that make your mind ache. That ache is sacred. It means you're building mental muscles that most people never dare to train. That ache is a promise that you're no longer living on autopilot. And if you commit to meeting your discomfort daily, one day you'll wake up and realize you've become someone who doesn't just survive challenges, you seek them. Because you've learned that challenge is the path to your greatest mental evolution. Fuel your mind with purpose, positivity, and people. The mind is not a machine, it is a garden. And what you feed it, it becomes. Every thought you allow, every word you absorb, every emotion you entertain is a seed. And one day, those seeds grow into beliefs, into behaviors, into your entire life. If you truly want to increase your brain power, you must become intentional about what you feed your mind. Purpose is not just a spiritual idea, it is a neurological superpower. A brain without purpose wanders. It reacts, it forgets. But a brain aligned with purpose focuses, it processes, it remembers, it becomes a magnet for clarity and direction. Purpose is not found in noise, it is heard in silence. Every morning, ask yourself not what the world needs from you, but what your soul longs to give. When you find your why, your brain finds its reason to fight, to think deeper, to solve harder, to stay longer. The neurons fire faster when they are connected to meaning. And then there's positivity, not fake smiles or toxic happiness, but the raw power of choosing to see light even when life looks dark. Negativity does not just affect your emotions, it affects your cognition. It clouds your memory, shortens your attention span, and numbs your creativity. But when you feed your brain hope, gratitude, and beauty, it begins to open. It begins to rewire. The same brain that once saw obstacles now starts seeing opportunities. The same mind that once replayed pain starts creating possibilities. One of the most powerful ways to change your thinking is to change your language. Speak to yourself, not with condemnation, but with compassion. Words are not just sound, they are signals. And your brain listens to the way you speak to yourself more than anyone else's voice. Say things that elevate you. Say things that remind you of your strength. Say things that forgive you for your past and prepare you for your future. These words are not empty affirmations, they are instructions to your brain on how to grow. And then there are the people, the mirrors through which your mind reflects itself. The people you surround yourself with either water your growth or poison your progress. Not everyone deserves access to your energy. Protect it. Be around those who challenge your thoughts, not your worth. People who expand your mind, not shrink your confidence. People who celebrate your curiosity, not mock your questions. Your brain becomes like the minds you spend the most time with. Build a circle where ideas are exchanged like gifts, where silence is respected, where dreams are discussed like plans, where intelligence is not competition but collaboration. These spaces awaken your potential in ways you cannot measure. Don't be afraid to walk alone until you find these people. And don't be afraid to be that person for someone else. Be the kind of mind that doesn't just consume wisdom but radiates it. Share what you learn, teach what you know, inspire through your thinking. When your environment becomes intentional, your brain becomes unstoppable. You think better because you feel safer. You create better because you believe in your voice. You retain more because you are emotionally aligned with what you are learning. Even your diet, your sleep, your breathing, your movement, these are fuels for the brain. A tired mind cannot think clearly. A starved mind cannot process wisely. A restless mind cannot grow deeply. Take care of your body not just for beauty but for brain power. And most importantly, learn to rest. Learn to pause. Your brain is not built to run without rhythm. In those quiet moments of reflection, new insights are born. In those sacred pauses, new clarity rises. And in that stillness, your most powerful thoughts are waiting to meet you in the end. The most powerful transformations in life often begin in silence, and not the silence of the world, but the silence of the mind that dares to listen inward. In a world that constantly screams for attention, your brain does not need more noise, it needs more meaning, more direction, more truth. And that truth is simple. You already have within you an untapped reservoir of potential that can reshape not only your mind, but your entire existence. Your brain is not a box of limitations, it is a sky waiting to be explored. And that exploration begins the moment you decide to feed your curiosity instead of your fear. The moment you stop asking, "What if I fail?" and start asking, "What can I learn?" The moment you let yourself wonder again like a child who sees the world not as a problem to be solved, but a mystery to be understood. That is when brain power begins to blossom. And just as a warrior trains for battle, your mind must be trained for clarity. Focus is no longer a luxury, it is a necessity. In the chaos of the world, it becomes your compass. In the storm of self-doubt, it becomes your sword. When you learn to hold your attention like a flame that refuses to flicker, your thoughts begin to sharpen, your ideas begin to form. And your voice begins to carry power that cannot be ignored. But the growth of your mind does not come from comfort, it comes from challenge. It comes from daily decisions to do the hard things, the uncomfortable things that most people run away from. Because every time you lean into discomfort, you're not just learning a new skill, you're becoming a new person. You're telling your brain, "I will not settle for the same thoughts, the same excuses, the same patterns. I will rise." And even as you rise, remember that no mind can rise alone. Feed your brain with the kind of energy that breathes life into your thoughts. Purpose that gives your struggle meaning. Positivity that reminds you there is still light left in the world. And people, those sacred souls who remind you who you are when the world tries to make you forget. The company you keep either fuels your vision or fractures it. Choose wisely, live wisely, think wisely. So, if you truly want to increase your brain power, don't chase perfection. Chase progress. Don't wait for permission. Give yourself the freedom to evolve. Every question you ask, every fear you face, every moment you focus, every person you outgrow, every day you dare to rise into something deeper than yesterday, this is how you grow your mind. And when your mind grows, everything changes. Your dreams get clearer, your decisions get wiser, your peace becomes stronger. You begin to not just exist, but think, feel, and live with a sense of presence that few ever experience. That is the gift of an awakened mind. That is the path of true brain power. And that path is already within you. You only need to take the first step.